So I train the same way regardless of the industry. Why? First of all, data is data. And people tell me, oh, our data is different. No, your data is not different. The question you ask about your data are different. And even within one industry, they will be different. Because it depends on the stage you're in, it depends the audience you're looking after, it depends on your strategic goals, it depends which level you are, like raising fund, not, if you're Series A, Series B, whatever. The question you will ask will always change, but the data is just data. The same thing applies for AI. That's the big disappointment about AI. AI is the same for everybody. Come on, guys. I mean, are there any data scientists in the room? Like data scientist or like a mathematician, PhD in data science? Good, I'm safe. So I can say stupid things now. No, I'm kidding. But AI, when you think about it, for the most of what you can use in business, well, we call it AI, but the real term is machine learning. That's how we should call it. But the problem, it doesn't look sexy. So people say about AI, it makes them look better. But what machine learning can do is 4 things. I'm answering your question, but follow me. It can predict a number. What could the revenue be for that customer depending on their feature? It can predict a class, an outcome. Is the customer going to churn or not? Is the customer going to stick or not? Is the customer, yeah. Hello. All right. So it can predict a class, that is the status of a client, the status of a game. It can predict a trend according to the past of my sales, the past of my engagement, the seasonality, how it's going to project in the future, or it can cluster. That is, I got 3, 4, 5 million gamers. How do they segment? So you can easily say, oh, you have the males and the females, but that's too poor. You can segment them using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 100 features to see how they coalesce into groups that make sense. So these are the 4 things you can do. Everybody's the same. Whether you're in gaming, steel manufacturing, defense, it's the same. So now the thing is, to teach this, that's super easy. The hard part is what you want to do. What numbers you want to predict? What class do you want to predict? What clusters do you want to get? What trend do you want to anticipate? And regardless of the industry, I'm turning to people, I say, I can train you how to do all these predictions. That honestly, that's not the hardest part. My class at Stanford, which is one of the most popular ones these days, it's 12 hours. That's all it takes to train you on all of this, including what I showed you earlier, 12 hours. But the biggest problem my students find out is like, okay, this was easy. Now is, what do we need to predict to be better gamers? What is meaningful to predict to be ahead of competition? So that's what I observe, and this is where every single industry struggles. How do you get all these ideas? Go back to square one. You need time. You need to be relaxed. You need to think about something else. And working the way I showed you gives you that time to think and look beyond the curve. So that's the first. That's where I see AI being applied in companies. Now it's an overall a big disappointment for a few reasons. First of all, people can't think hard enough. They're too lazy and they don't want to disrupt the way they work. That's the first thing. Second, data quality is very poor. In the gaming industry, if you're an online platform, you could get good data quality because it's machine generated. You move away from that in CPG, consumer, type of good, packaged good. Data is very bad, and it's very hard to run machine learning on top of it. That's the biggest disappointment. People lack of idea and lack of good data. But if you have both, 12 hours and you know how to do it. Now comes the last part is trust. Trust the machine. Because everybody can run an algorithm. Now who's going to make a decision that involves millions of dollars based on what the machine told you? And this is where leaders, younger, junior or senior, they struggle. Because what if you make the wrong decision because the machine told you? Are you ready for this? Think about it. And so that's overall what I see. Now, so this is great, but somewhat disappointing in the corporate world. Not in research. We can do some great stuff. The rest is generative AI, and that's what I showed you. And this you have no excuse, because this applies to anything and everything. And if you don't start putting some code in any of your process to automate what you do, I think you're going to fall behind, because you're going to miss that time that you could reinvest on what makes a difference. And this is across the board, people get crazy. Yeah. You're welcome. So I want, by the way, I know I speak a lot sometimes, but I want to share with you that story. So I was in New York. I trained the top 30 top executive of a large cosmetic CPG company. Big people. And this is what I fail to see sometimes in executives, is that passion, that craziness. And I think you need to have that passion and craziness today. But one of them stood out. One of them, after the training, I mean, she's like, I don't know, pretty senior executive, obviously. But an age is not a reason. But usually you not expect that craziness at that age. But she must be like early 50s. She ran after me at the class, and she said, I got to take you to Florida to train my team. You have to come to Florida. You need to train my team. They need to see this. And that's the spirit you need to get. That excitement to say, guys, we need to do this. We need to see this. We need to try this. You need to be the ambassador of this passion, because she, I think, she got the fact that if they don't embrace that change, in a few years, they're going to be disruptive. So that's what I feel companies are missing, is that excitement. All right, so sorry, there was a question. Yeah, Barry, you're first, yes. 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 So this is, I love that question. And that question would be pretty much answered similarly, whether you come from the engineering background, where you're not afraid of code, you're not afraid of numbers, or for the business background, where you say, wow, this is intimidating. So I think you could go at it from two opposite directions, but the same way. It dawned on me, the book I was referring to earlier, it speaks a lot about what you can follow in gaming. But it's like all the books I've read in treasury, finance, corporate finance, accounting. You read them and you say, it's common sense. Duh, everybody should do it. And then you enter the corporate world, the enterprise world. Nobody does it. Why? Because there's that friction between the data and the metric. You're like, how do I bridge this? And between data and a graphic, a chart, how do I bridge this? Well, today, this is your entry point for both of you. Actually, I did a bit of this. You take the book. I can share with you the data set, or you take your own data set, and you take the book, and you load your data set, and you say, now, the book says you need to calculate the AU. What is the AU? You calculate it this way, this way. Okay, in my data set, it's this and this divided by this. Great. Hey, ChatGPT, can you calculate the AU dividing da 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 da? So you give what you read in the book, transcribe to what your data set look like, what the columns look like, and you're going to be surprised. It's going to get you there. So my first thing is use the business metrics, your engineering background or your business acumen, and just try it and check it. Second, when it comes to charts, oh my gosh. So you're familiar with Python? Yeah, and the library, graphic library such as Plotly. So this sounds like gibberish, but Python knows how to do charts way better than Excel, forget it. And what you can do is basically like I showed you with the 3D bubble chart. Hey, ChatGPT, I got this data set. Can you do a chart putting this in X, this in Y, and this in Z? Or can you do a line chart with this in X and this in Y, and this in color? You just ask a plain language, and the LLM will generate the code to create that chart. Or you can do it reverse. That's also an entry point from both of you. I'm pointing you, sorry, but both of you is like, ChatGPT, what can I do with this data? Show me 5 cool ways of visualizing this data. Okay, 3 of them are going to be rubbish because ChatGPT doesn't know what it does. But one of them was like, wait, that is really cool. And this is where you put your brain on it, say, wait, get that one, but now do it this way. And by small iterations, I know, call me crazy, but you do it on a Sunday morning. You do it on a Saturday afternoon. You relax and you just say, let me play, let me learn. You're so relaxed, no pressure, and that's your entry point. And then you get hooked and you have no life anymore. You are. Yes, there was another question over here. Same. Thank you. So you're using Excel. Mm-hmm. So Irina, right? Irina. So yeah, same thing. I've run global reporting. I was head of financial data at Google. So this was something I had to do. And this is where you need to think differently about this. A chart is just a visualization of a piece of data set at one point. Okay? You say, hey, take that data set, visualize it. Why do you need to store the chart? You have the data. Store the code to do the chart. Yeah, the chart, yes. But you don't need to store the chart. At any point in time, you can say run the code at that date, do the chart. So storing the chart is not necessarily something you should think about. As long as you have the data, and I mentioned this is very critical, in a fair format, findable, accessible, interpretable, and reusable, which means your data will be there forever in any technology in a system. So basically, it's a table, CSV file, not Excel. As long as you have that data ready, anytime in seconds, you can regenerate your chart the way you want it. Now, I can understand you might want to store the chart and have like every month a report where you narrate what happened and you want to have the chart as a backup. Well, there are 2 schools, but one for me is really the one that we're going to. Well, you could automate a whole dashboard with a chart and everything, but these are costly to do. They take a lot of resources and they could be very fragile. Or you can create a narrative report. It's called narrative business intelligence. You copy paste your chart in a document and you store that document even as a PDF, that's fine, but it will be there forever. But you're going to say, Gauthier, copy pasting is so antiquated. And you said that copy pasting is bad. But when it comes to narrative BI, you have to tell a story. You have to make a point. Well, you have to articulate your story and your points using illustrations. This is where you stick in your chart, but not the standard chart, the chart that very answers the question. So these are the ones I would store every month. But for the rest, honestly, I never store the chart because if I want to go back to history, 10 years history of data, I will just regenerate the chart for any period of time I want. Yeah. I think that's a problem with Excel. Excel makes you you store cosmetic and data at the same time. Don't never store cosmetic, you don't care. Store data, because with data, you can always reapply whatever cosmetic you want. And a big change of paradigm, I think. But trust me. Yes, there was a question. Yes, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, so I use ChatGPT 4.0, which is the paid version, like $20 a month. The free version works as well. Regular GPT. Yeah, it's enough. Honestly, it's enough. Like I said, Python is well known enough. There's no competitive advantage. Mostly if you process step by step, there's no competitive advantage for using an advanced one, if you want my opinion. I even use a local LLM on my machine. So next time you buy, you gamer, so you know that, but next time you buy a laptop or something, buy it with GPU because you can run your models locally. And even local models, which are not as good, are pretty good enough to code. Hmm. Yeah. Yes, I've run into this. Yes, I have these issues, and that's why I started to be. When I started to work on all this, it was at the very beginning, back like 3 years ago now, and I really, because to stand in front of you, it's a huge responsibility. And the problem, people say, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You're like these influencers, and you come like, oh yeah, it's cool, blah blah blah." No, I come to you because this is working, and I didn't really introduce myself what I've done in the past. Look me up, but I've been there, done that, and it's a huge responsibility. I need to make sure it works. So when I started to work with these solutions, I voluntarily worked like a pig, like I did for these two, because I wanted to make sure it still held. And even working like a pig, it worked. However, I realized that there was that variability. If you start with a new chat, then the weight code is slightly different. If you start with a new LLM, then it doesn't react the way you want. So I started to be a bit more disciplined, but not that much. I started to create projects and say, hey, that's how I love to code. That's how I'm going to interact with you. And I love you when you code to choose that path more than that path. And when I say code, it's a big name. It's like when I usually will work from CSVs on my machine. I will never load your data, so don't ask me to load the data. So it started to understand the very basic rules I wanted to interact it with. And I got that stability here. And indeed, if I use like a new LLM because I'm trying a few every once in a while, but once again for Python it doesn't make a difference. Then I get like, it doesn't get what I want. I realize ChatGPT knows me now. He calls me honey. Yes, yes. Oh yeah, 3 more questions. Great, fantastic. We have an hour, and I'm so happy to be here. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, I get that question a lot. Please, I mentioned GPT because in most, I mean, you guys are advanced. When I teach in Ukraine, I should know better, okay? Because you guys are advanced. But most countries, they only know GPT. So I usually, for me, and that's okay, a mistake. When I mention LLM, I mean just Chat GPT for people. It's easy. I should be more careful, I think, after 3 years of generative AI. But yes, I think all of them work. Now, a lot of people ask me, have you tried this one? Have you tried this one? No, I have no time to try them all. Plus, to do a thorough. So I work with enough people deep in the system. If one comes and say, Gauthier, you got to try this, I know who to trust and I will follow them. So if you tell me, maybe I'll trust you and I'll check them out. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, why I stuck to that one? It because for what we need to do, it does the job. Here, I'm not talking about coding a whole game. No, 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 no. I'm not a coder. By the way, full disclosure, I'm not a data scientist. For me, a data scientist has a PhD in math, a PhD in data science, a PhD in statistics. I have none of this. I'm just a pretty good data analyst, business data analyst, business AI analyst. And I think that's good enough to have impact in a company. And that's why everything I tell you about is to that level. And a ChatGPT 3, 5, 4 does the job. I think any LLM today does the job. Yeah. 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 So yeah, working with Google Analytic Platform is fantastic, and they can give you all. I mean, most of the key metrics. Actually, I mentioned here, they give it to you. However, there's something I don't like about this is you kind of, even though they give you some navigation stuff like dashboarding stuff, you're still stuck to what they have. And for me, I don't know. Maybe I love freedom too much. I'd be happy to get the pulse of my data with their solution, but as soon as I can, give me an export. Why? Why give me an export? Because first of all, I want to have my data with me. And yes, CSV file is good enough. And then you pile up CSV files, and when you get to hundreds of millions of rows, you push it, you ask your favorite IT person or developer, and you push it to a database. That's fine. That's the first thing. Second, what if I want to see if gamers are influenced by the weather? Oh, when it's raining, people are using my game. Well, if it's raining and they're using my game more, maybe I should have like I don't know, something in my game that, I don't know, make them feel better when it rains. I'm just making this up. You're not going to get this rain data in Google. You're going to need to get it elsewhere. And to do what we call a join between your game data and the weather, it's not going to happen in Google. But if you take the Google data out and you get somewhat the weather data out, there it takes one command line to join the two and get correlation between users and game. Yeah, exactly. And then, I mean, then you could go on and on and on. This is where your imagination is the key. What if you say some countries, I mean, that's a fact actually, some countries love better colors more and more. I mean, Chinese, they love the red. You want to avoid the purple color in Japan because it's the color of dress or whatever. So maybe you want to see if some screens that have this color are more accepted in China or in this country. You're not going to do this in Google Analytics or any platform because they don't have that color preference data. You maybe build it, maybe you're going to hack it from a website that says what are the favorite colors or the sacred colors or the cursed colors for one country. You get that table, you get the Google table out, you merge the two, and then you can see if there's correlation depending on the screen of color. We had a discussion with Ivana about A/B testing. A/B testing on screens. Well, if you have Chinese players, maybe you can say, let's put more red in the screen, or let's put more white in the screen, and see if the two cohorts of players, A/B, stick more on the red one than the white one. You can discuss all day long with a bottle of wine, or you can just try it. And this, you export the data to CSV files, do the join. It's a matter of one day work. Not even, it's a matter of 2 hours work. And then you have your answer. You get me excited. Can I work for you? Oh, yes, yes, please. Yeah. Hi. My pleasure. Thank you. Not only them, by the way. Yeah. So I'm going to give you my personal opinions. Some of them are based on research that I got my hand of, or also on a lot of conversation. I think today, even though I work with great researchers, it's being close to the business that teaches you the most. It goes too fast. So, okay, first thing, I'm going to do some name dropping, but I love to mention my sources. I work with the IHES. It's the top mathematics institute in the world. It's in Paris. They have no less than something like eight field medals working right now for them. I mean, it's like top guys. And my question was, in that line, what happened when the calculator was invented? And people say, nobody's going to know how to count anymore. Oh my gosh. Well, it did not quite happen that way. But the answer was from one of these mathematicians. You're talking about the real guys, mathematicians, real people. And he said, no, calculators just elevated the level of fun. And I love that answer. It's like, it's just make you do less not funny tasks, honestly. Copy-pasting away, spending hours on Excel is not fun. You can move to the next level. Like we had the discussion about the weather, the color. Oh my gosh, now I want to spend time with you looking at all these questions. I'm super excited about them. That's for one. The second, I think we cannot avoid what you described. And I have a third point, it's coming, is I think back in the Middle Age, to survive or to be I'll get there. Yeah, but in Middle Age, you had to be strong and resistant, because if you're not strong and resistant, you were useless. And the more we go, the strength is no longer an advantage. And I think the strength moves from the legs and the arms to the brain. And that's with or without AI, it has always been the case. AI is taking it to a whole new level, where it's not the finger agility on the keyboard. It's once again soft skills and curiosity. So I totally agree with you. I'm going to share with you an epiphany, and it's not the first time I've seen that from HR people. So I am a guest professor at the University of Paris. I train a master in HR, and of course I come to train them on business analytics. And also for executive trainings, usually I have HR teams. The question out of the training is always the same. It's like, but wait, Gauthier, or if they're younger, wait, professor, like really, is we're going to have to change the way we recruit. And I'm like, I think yes. But who am I? I'm not HR. But they say we're going to have to change the way we recruit, because right now we recruit, we want them to be super good at this, super good at Excel, and we realize it's not what we want. And it's hard to boil it down to a few minutes answer, but what they seem to be, and I agree with this, because I mean, actually that's how I recruit people in my teams, is I don't care about your resume. Really, I really don't care. Not even about the university you went to. For me, that's not the point today. What I care about is your curiosity. What I care about is, are you like organized in your, I'm not asking to be like super tidy, but are you kind of like organized? Even if you're a bit all over the place, do you know how to follow like a process? If you're driven, can you follow that drive? So curiosity, drive, open-mindedness, ability to change. And that sounds so lame, right? But the problem is the following. Really, honestly, for everything we do, I hate to say, unless you're a nuclear physicist or something like this, most of the things we do, you can learn them really quickly. Even more so with generative AI. There's a reason why I train people to be good machine learning analysts in business in 12 hours. 12 hours. Where is the catch? The catch is, if you're not curious, if you're not eager, I can't teach you. So if you come to me and say, Gauthier, I want to work for you, I have the energy, the curiosity, the will, the eagerness, I'm ready to do it, I'm going to be excited, a bit over the place, but I'm going to follow you where you tell me to go, then you're hired. Because the rest I can teach you. So I think that's the paradigm we see. And that gives a chance to so many of us that kind of got excluded because we didn't have the hard skills. Now we have a chance to catch up on them. Oh Oh yeah. And then I have the luxury to work with Dr. Professor Jody Halpern. She wrote a great piece in the Washington Post about how it leads to suicide. I mean, there's a lot of bad impacts. But so that actually that makes me add something to what I said. Is I think the issue is, you mentioned it, is all the time you save and all the ease of work you get, if you're invested in Instagram, if you're invested on stupid social media, you're invested in watching TV and binging, then we're out of luck. Then we're out of luck. What? Yeah, that's for me. That is the we need to pick it up as a society. That time we save, that comfort we gain, we need to reinvest it to keep on learning, or to keep on doing good, to give back. If you do none of this, then okay, welcome to America today. Did I just say this? Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so that's a question I get too, and I'm going to be very blunt. Maybe I don't want to shock people. There's no point shocking people. But I think if you believe AI is going to kill creativity, well, it's because you're a mediocre creator. Really, it's because honestly, what AI can produce, if you think you can't beat AI, I mean, go do something else. Don't create. Look what we just did. You mentioned some examples, and I was gone. In my field, like you say, but Gauthier, we could do this. Oh, I wanted to align so many pieces of data. And I'm not a graphic creator, that's for sure. But I always rely on graphic artists to help me, because even if they're going to use some AI, they know what's going to work. They know how to articulate. Even if it's a prompt in the end, they know how to transmit the impact, the visualization to Gen AI. Could I type the same prompt? Absolutely. But could I come up with the same prompt? Probably not. So I think any creative person that respects his or herself should not be afraid. You still have full command. There's no doubt about this. Yes. No, you're 23. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Oh, yeah. Um, yeah. Well, that I think you're in the heart of it. So, do I have a definitive answer? Probably not. Will there be one? Probably not. I'm going to give you my opinion, though. Is have you ever read an email that was written by AI? Of course you do. You probably received. And honestly, I don't want to see. Oh, I can tell whether it's written by AI or not. But at some point, you receive so many of them, you kind of know it's BS. And so that's the first thing. I think there's going to be an equalization. You're going to receive better content that look like soft skills, but you're going to rapidly decode it. I would call it's the same thing we got in California, the politically correct. Hi, how are you, Gauthier? Oh, your session was so awesome. To convey what you have in your soul. Yeah, I'm going to get to that point. Yeah. So I'm getting to the point, actually. So there's an automation of personalization, which is okay, but you can see through it. That's what I was mentioning. In California, there's an automation of kindness. How are you? I couldn't care less about you, but hi, amazing. Wow, I really enjoy your session, blah, 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 blah. So you wait 5 minutes till the person is done, and then you have a good conversation. So I think AI at least helps you, or helps a lot of people, get to that first step. The same way we do in California, you start a conversation positively. But the problem is, are you going to go to the next level? In California, we don't. We keep on going like, oh, wow, amazing, yeah, super, yeah, and they don't care. Exactly. And that's what I mean. The same way, this sort of social norm where you connect to the person with like the basic. AI can help you with a cool email. Hey, my command of Ukrainian is so bad. Hmm? So this is where you get an edge with AI. Yeah, totally soft skills. Now the problem is okay. So I should get faster to the point. So um, AI could help you maybe structure the first conversation. Could maybe help you write the first email because you have no time. You have 50 other people to deal with. But this is where it comes, where you need to reinvest that time you save into the caring you're going to offer. Because right now, can you offer the same level of caring to all these people? No. I mean, I'm making an example here. You're too busy writing emails to all of them that you try to personalize. But the email is not going to get you very far. But if the email automation is just good enough to get the hook on people, and you save all these hours, then you reinvest all these hours to come see the people and work with your heart. The same thing for creativity. Oh, it's going to kill creativity. Well, you're a mediocre creator. Just use AI to maybe to rapidly try ideas. Hey, can you draw this with this? Oh, it doesn't work. Can you draw this with this? Wow, this is it. And then let your creativity blow. The same thing I do with data. Okay, so this is what you need to cultivate, because everybody's going to get to that level, and it's going to be an equalizer, and it's going to be useless. Empathy will take over again. Pretty sure. I mean, pedagogy is well, I hope, because pedagogy is my game. So, yes. Oh yeah. So first part of the question. So really quick, that is something I teach. It is not a request because people don't know better. People don't have the courage to ask these questions. People are insufficiently trained, and usually they don't even have the data to project from. If you remove these barriers, and I get a chance to train you and we work on your data, it's going to become a habit. It's actually pretty cool, and if you know how to run it with agility, you're going to do some classification just for the sake of it, just to see if there is something there. And this is where you can see things you never thought about. So it's not so okay, now I'm going to finish on this first part. It's not a request because people don't know better. Sometimes it is a request, but it's like, Gauthier, I want to do AI. That doesn't mean a thing. I mean, top leaders, Gauthier, can you do AI? It's like, can you, it doesn't mean nothing. So they're not able to formulate that well enough. When they're trained, they get an idea, and I think they get hooked. Oh, yeah. All right, get ready. That's a fantastic question. So let's demystify something. Running machine learning, well, running AI if you want to look cool. Running machine learning, yeah, come on in, free drinks. Running machine learning is very, very easy. I mean, really, for real. Running a machine learning language, machine learning model, like classification model, regression, is a piece of cake. Why? Because you're not going to redevelop the damn thing. It's open source, it's there. So you call, basically you call the algorithm, and if you use a no-code tool, you just click, that's the algorithm I'm going to use, and all you got to do is inject the data into the algorithm, select what you're going to predict from, what you're going to predict to, and then you press run. I mean, okay, maybe you want to see exactly what's happening in the algorithm. Honestly, you don't have to. What matters is the data the question you ask, the data you inject. What's happening in the algorithm, it doesn't really matter. What happens is what the algorithm is going to predict. And this is where, as much as your focus has to be on the question and the data, the other part of your focus needs to be on the results of the algorithm. So people are over-focused on like, oh, algorithm. No, algorithm is just a thing. Unless you call Google or Meta, you're not going to reinvent algorithm. You're going to use the ones that already exist. And this is where the problem happens, exactly to what you highlight. Well, selecting data, question, everything is hard. But then interpreting and trusting, that is the second hard. Because some people come to me and say, oh, we got a classification model and we got these results. Is it good, is it bad? Well, the answer is, I don't know. I don't know. If you're a hospital, this is very bad probably. But if you're an experimental hospital, maybe it's good. It depends on your risk aversion. It depends on your tolerance. It depends on your goal. It depends on which matter you're in. If you make a wrong prediction, are you going to kill someone? Or are you going to lose gamers? It's a totally different thing. Or is your competition be able to predict better or less good as you? Because your data, your prediction could be very mediocre, but if it's better than a competitor, then it's good enough. So the interpretation is super important. This is where the business needs to be at the table, because only the business knows which tolerance it could have, how to interpret these numbers. And that's what I teach. I teach the mechanics of the interpretation of the algorithm, but then they realize it's super easy. Then does it fit what you have in mind? And there is something I use a lot, no-code AI tools, because it's one thing to look at the result of an algorithm, but it's also another to visualize which features, which predictors were influential or not. And when you share that with users, they tell you if it's logical or not. So that validation piece is essential. Now the trust, this is where it's, I think this is where the big problem is. Are you gonna sign off on something the machine told you to do? I'm gonna tell you, I work with NASA, okay? Amazingly, a lot of business people need machine learning training. You have the engineers, but they're supported by people that need to work better with data. They work with Excel. So here's what happens. Imagine you're flying, it's a true story that was given to me by the director of the Ames Research Center in Silicon Valley. Mission to Mars. Okay, let's forget about Elon for a second. Mission to Mars. AI is going to be critical to get there. Why? Because you might say, when we went to the moon, we didn't have AI. But this is where it makes you understand a lot of things. Is when you go to the moon, the radio signal to the moon will rarely be delayed more than a few seconds. So if you call Houston, you have a problem, it's going to take a few seconds to go round trip and probably to have your answer, which means you can be connected to a bunch of brains all over the world that are going to think about your problem and give you an answer. You go to Mars after a few months of travel, you could be minutes, tens of minutes away from Earth, which means, Houston, we have a problem and we have 2 minutes to fix it, otherwise we're dead. You could be 60, 70 minutes too late to get an answer. And on board, you have what? 1, 2, 3 brains, 4 brains maybe? You don't have the luxury of having hundreds of brains on Earth thinking for you. The only solutions to solve this is have onboard intelligence, is to have artificial intelligence. But there comes the question. Of course, the intelligence can see way many more metrics, way faster, and has way more history about anything. But when you're the astronaut in the middle of space, where nobody hears you shout, scream, Alien, the movie? Yeah, there used to be good movies at some point. Yeah, that's where I fall in love with, what's her name again? The actress, come on. Alien. Sigourney Weaver, thank you. Yeah, anyway, but imagine you're on board and you know your decision is going to be life or death. And you have 1 minute to make a decision. And the AI tells you, do this. Are you going to follow AI? Are you going to follow your guts, knowing that your guts only see part of the problem? AI sees the entire problem. But maybe AI doesn't see that little detail because it was never trained to see that detail. How do you make the trade-off? And that is, I think that is the whole problem you mentioned here. So I want you to share that story, and that problem is very hard to solve in any company. And you could have the super great result in a prediction. How are you going to make people to understand and accept? Welcome to the club. And that's why I train business AI a lot, and that class is quite successful. If they understand how it works, if they understand the data that fed it, if they understand the data that was relevant for the machine to learn, if they understand the metrics on the quality of the training of the algorithm, then they can say, well, you know what, we understand overall, plus as human being, we kind of validate that, let's go for it. That's probably the key. It's going to take a lot of training and acculturation to make it work. No, please, yeah. Yeah, there'd be no trust. It's counterproductive. It was the failure of the data science teams in many companies, and no offense to data science and data teams, because they were working in a closed room and say, we have predicted this, let's do this. And everybody and their brother was like, they were like, what? And it's like, hey, young kid, you've been here like 2 months and you're doing whatever, I don't understand what you do. I've been here 20 years, you're telling me how to do my work. It was a pure failure. Yeah, I mean, once again, to application of AI is going to go through humans. Because AI is easy. In corporate world. Yeah. Yes, welcome. Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So okay, yeah, that's the question I started to get. The sad news is we don't care. In the US we care even less. So yeah, you want to change the world. It's like, yeah, I'm driving, I don't have an electric car, but you drive an electric car in California and then you go to Texas. You try to reduce water consumption and then you go to Texas and you go to Vegas and you're like, what am I doing? So you're unfortunately, we are a drop in the ocean. It's not a reason not to do anything. Plus, to the sad truth is, and I saw it here. It's really sad actually. I never thought I would see these things in my life, but the way big tech lined up behind President Trump, it was very, very disappointing, because basically they made it very clear that ethics didn't matter. The way they disbanded their teams, they disbanded the controls, the way they're following somebody who is anything but. Yeah, so the companies, the powers that rule this field are not going that direction at all. So it's going to have to be on us. So now it doesn't mean we shouldn't do anything. So what can we do? Well, first of all, it's great that you know about it, but I have no lectures to give to anyone. Everybody has to try their best the way they feel it. A few pointers, though, is oh my gosh, it's such a drop in the ocean. But be transparent about the usage of AI. For instance, I don't use AI to write my emails, but I think if I were to use my AI to write emails, I would probably put in my signature, hey, this email could have been edited or reviewed by an AI, because my command of English may not be perfect, and but rest assured that it's really my tone. I just want it to be more polished. So I would try to make it clear. I didn't put it here, but I do write-ups and stuff, and I do generate images, but I mentioned it. This was electronically generated. So yeah, these are things, behaviors. So be transparent about it. For energy consumptions, I'm starting to study this, but I'm not sure it's going to make a big difference. Some algorithms, such as XGBoost, are much more power hungry than some others, and they're just marginally better sometimes. So we should tell everybody to use the other, but is it going to make a big difference in the mass of data that is being supported? Create less images online, but is it going to make a difference? I don't know. So unfortunately, all actions you take, I don't see them being scalable enough to make an impact. So I don't know where I could really point you to. Maybe I know we're almost running. We're running out of time already. It's in ethics, regardless. We are the last line of defense. I'll probably finish on this. You know what? We're the last line of defense. Regulations are going to be too late, or they're useless, or they're being taken down. Okay? The way the world is, and I'm going to speak with my heart here. Sorry, it's going to be a very sensitive topic for some people. But so Tim Cook, CEO of Apple, he's gay, openly gay. He made the promotion of diversity in all his direct team. Guess who sucked it up to Trump on first day of inauguration? A guy that is anti-diversity, whatever, Tim Cook. Okay? The guy has millions and millions, tens of millions, probably hundreds of millions in the bank, and he still wants more. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not an angel, but I would be Tim Cook, I would just resign. I can't do this. And yet he did. And he's I don't know, he's betraying his own. It's unbelievable. So you are the first line of defense when it comes to ethics. The big tech is not going to show you the way. Regulation is going to not show you the way. Internal governance is not going to show you the way. You can always bypass. So at the end of the day, it's on you, every single one of you. And that's why I educate people around data. I'm not educating people around what is good and what is bad, but I'm giving them the means to understand the impact of what they're going to do and think about it. And amazingly, and that's my biggest takeaway at my Stanford class, which is going to start actually Tuesday when I'm coming back, is I realized that people get it. And magically they say, oh my gosh, we could do harm. We should be careful. I didn't say a thing. And my last slide at that training, and most of my training, stands in 2 words. And that's what I'm going to leave you with today. Is I was really happy to share my passion, some techniques, some technology, some solutions. But all the goal of this is for you to thrive, to develop, to innovate, to be better at what you do, and overall to do good. Do good. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, and thank you for that our discussions came to topic of values, because it's really important when we share the same values, and I feel that while you were talking, yeah, and I think our audience also feels this way. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. And I also want to thank you, AB Games and Ivana, for organizing this lecture. Thank you so much.